Hello, thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. This is Josh. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about the Anchor.fm app. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. My name is Josh. Today, I'm talking about Jumanji, The Next Level, or is Tumanji, as I might be calling it from now on, here or there. Just a little bit of background. I have not seen the first film. Before watching this new one, I did look to see if it was available on any of my streaming platforms, and it was not. I think it was only available on Showtime, which I do not have, and I was not going to pay for. So, that might provide some context for my review. That being said, I think one of the unintended consequences of trailers giving away the entire film is that if you see the sequel, you still get most of the references because, not too. It's I did understand most of what was happening. There were a couple of surprises that I was not expecting. Specifically, Colin Hanks making a return to the film. For those of you that have seen the first one, his presence will not be a surprise if you've seen the trailer because Nick Jonas is also in it. Both of those performers do a fine job for the amount of time they're on screen. Nick Jonas gets a little bit more screen time. Nothing too strenuous on his acting abilities, but he was fine, so of course, your main stars of this film are Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan. It was nice to see Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart doing their impersonations of Danny DeVito and Danny Glover, respectively. They do a fairly good job of doing that. There are plenty of moments that are genuinely funny of those two actors copying the mannerisms of their hosts, I guess you would say. If you've seen the second trailer, then you know there are some twists to this film that I'm not going to 100% spoil here. I'm going to try to keep some mystery to the film that I think the trailer gives away that would have been nice to have not seen coming, but unfortunately that is not how TV spots work for films. So if you have not seen it, I would avoid that. One of the concerns I had from watching the first trailer is concerning the Jack Black character, because the actor who he was going to be imitating was Sir Darius Blaine, who plays Fridge. Having Jack Black doing an imitation of an African American actor is it's fraught, to say the least. I think you kind of never forget about it, but it's not. It could have been much worse. There is one moment that I think it maybe gets a little worse, but I will be speaking about that vaguely later because, again, I don't want to give away too much. For me, the big surprise, not having seen the first one, was that this film is definitely carried by the performance of Karen Gillan as this kind of the central character. She is the only video game avatar character that is essentially unchanged from the first film, and for that reason, a lot of the exposition and a lot of the story rests on her shoulders of carrying it through to the end, and I think she does a really good job with that. So, speaking of Karen Gillan, I know this was a joke that they made in the first film, and they ignore it here, but having a character have something unfortunate with their character, in this case, I know that Karen Gillan's character's costume in the first film was a point of contention for her character. And I gotta say, like, just because you comment on it doesn't mean it doesn't suck that it's that way. So I will say that, like, doing something different would have been nice. It is kind of unfortunate that they stuck with that, but yeah. If you have seen the IMDb page for this film, there is one actor in particular. Well, there are two actors in particular that I'm going to mention. If you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, I will be giving my score now, and then I'll go into a little bit more specifics later on. But there is a character that is not mentioned in any of the promotional materials that I saw. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can go ahead and keep listening. Otherwise, I would say that this film is definitely going to be better seen on a big screen, I think this film is bigger. It's going to be better. I don't know if it's going to be nearly as fun on a smaller screen. There are certainly moments that play better large, and there's not a whole lot of this is definitely a very surface level film, so I think having a big screen experience is going to be beneficial for this film. That being said, I'm going to give this film 7 Clooney's. So yeah, for those of you that don't want anything spoiled whatsoever, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for listening. Check us out at the Moist Boys podcast. For the rest of you, the one other performance that I want to call out as being particularly good was Awkwafina. I've not seen her in anything else. I know she's been in several smaller films, but that is before my time doing movie reviews, and I have not been able to check those out yet. But going forward, I'm excited to see what she does. She gives a very good performance in this, doing some impersonations of her own that I think are somewhat humorous. And then, of course, it's always fun to see Danny Glover and Danny DeVito, two titans and legends in their own right, on the big screen anytime. Two other characters I want to mention real quick. Rory McCann in what is essentially a cameo. He's not in the film too much, and also there's not a whole lot to that, but you're pretty much watching this for the interaction with the four main characters, so I think that is successful. And it's also fun to see Rhys Darby pop up, and he does not disappoint in this. So yeah, I'm giving this 7 Clooney's. I think it's fun film, plenty of laughs, nothing too disappointing. My biggest complaint involves Jack Black and Karen Gillan. There's a scene kind of in the midpoint in the film that goes on way too long. I know the point they were trying to make with that scene, but I feel like it kind of gets bogged down in special effects and jokes that didn't really land very well. So yeah, thank you for listening. Moist Boys Reviews. Check out the Moist Boys podcast. We are in our final weeks of talking about the Star Wars films, and the Rise of Skywalker review will be up soon on the Moist Boys main feed, and that will be exciting. I will also be doing a shorter review here for those of you that want to listen to something more compact. and also get a taste of opinions on the film, maybe something a little less spoilery. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.